I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, January the 15th, brought to you in part by FerAppease, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. Last week, Dr. Rodrigo with FerAppease, he called me and we were visiting, and I told him a lot of the feeder flash gang members and producers and friends of mine, people that had discovered FerAppease through this video, had told many of us at DVAuction and NationalBeefWire and the feeder flash that they were so glad that they had discovered FerAppease, and most of them through this video, because it had saved them so much money and time and effort and sickness and death, loss and trouble and everything weaning their calves this year, and that they love the product. They're going to continue to use it. He said, well, I think we've just scratched the surface. He said, I've always thought that it would work just as good on yearling feeder cattle. He said, we just hadn't done a lot of it and we hadn't done any testing on it. So we got some time to do it, and so he bought a string of really good yearlings. They were commodity yearlings, but top quality. In fact, he bought them off Jeff Slatton up at Beaver County Stockyards. They were good. One long string, been together for a long time, been weaned forever, turned out right off grass there. They weighed 900 pounds. He took them to Texas A&M Research Feedlot at Bushland, Texas, which is just west of Amarillo, and he ran a test. Half of them he didn't give any FerAppease to, give them all their shots and everything, processed them and put them on feed. The other half he did use FerAppease on their arrival, and then again when they re-implanted them. So then he did the testing on them. On the average daily gain, those with FerAppease improved 3.4%. I mean, they're really good cattle. They gained their heads off anyway. Those that did not receive FerAppease gained 4.97. Those with FerAppease gained 5.14. So impressive performance there. Hot carcass weight improved 15.6 pounds. So from 968 pounds up to 984, and you think, well, that's not that big a deal. Well, you take that improved weight gain there times your addressed price there, and you're well over $50 improved return on just $6 investment. $3 a dose. One dose when you put them on feed, and one at re-implanting. That is well worth it. If you're feeding very many cattle, that's going to add up in a hurry. The marbling score was much better. Your premium choice and better was up 5.5%. So that was great. Your high choice and prime numbers were up 40% compared to most of them being low and average choice. So that's going to improve you on when you put them on the grid. Or if you have a feedlot buyer or a packer buyer that knows what he's looking at and can see the cattle. But it's well worth it. And I think whenever this information gets out, everybody is going to start using FerAppease. You're going to put them through the chute anyway to process them and then re-implant them. It doesn't take a second to squirt some of that FerAppease on their pole and on their muzzle. And it only costs $3 a dose, and you just receive so much in return for that. So for more information, go to FerAppease.com. Jake break. And I was looking at the markets for Tuesday and for Wednesday's report here, and I was just kind of looking at the way things are going and everything. And I don't think we're going to do an abrupt turn here. The markets were all higher, but the higher trends are moderating. And so if you think of a big bull wagon that's loaded down, and you can hear him off in the distance coming up there, and that driver flips on that Jake brake, and we all love that sound, coming down like that, and then it doesn't get real cracky until they get close and almost stop. But we're still gaining, but not as much, not as in as big a hunks there. Your trends in your Tuesday sales were sharply higher, but they weren't, the prices weren't any higher than they were on Monday. And so and we're not getting sticker shock. I wouldn't say it's sticker shock, but maybe exhaustion of these all-time record high prices. You know, talking to people, I talk to people all day, every day. A lot of people, the backgrounders and feeders are saying, you know, these cattle, it's just, you know, everything has to work right, even for them to flush or just wash. And he says, you know, what if I stub my toe? What if something happens here? What if I lose one? You know, it just takes everything, you know, it takes all the fun out of it right there. And I don't need any more experience. If I've heard one guy say it, I've heard 25 say it. I've got enough experience. I don't need the experience of doing this if I don't look like I'm gonna make any money. And with your board trailing behind cash, you know, if you're that optimistic on there, you know, I said it the other day, why not just take a long position on the board, turn the heat up, and sit by the fire. And then you don't get the hands-on experience that way, but it's pretty much the same. But you know, it's starting to moderate a little. Enough is almost enough. I'm not saying that we won't see more record high prices towards the end of the week. We get some additional premium sales in the northern plains and in the Midwest. We could crack some more higher prices there to set some new records, but just saying that it is starting to moderate just a touch. Talking to several people around, and just like I have been kind of telling you guys throughout this rally, is a lot of the replacement heifers that have been purchased for replacement or kept back by bigger producers for replacement, they couldn't resist it any longer, and several of those bunches have been sold. And when they sold, they went to feed. The same thing happened last year. You know, the guys had good intentions to keep back a lot of replacement heifers, start building the herd back up. They could not resist the prices. And you guys don't have ice water in their veins. They just can't help it. The prices are so good. And the steer heifer discount is huge, 25 bucks or more on feeder heifers there, but they just can't resist selling those. And we've heard of several instances where that's happening, so you know it's happening all over. Also, we've got another cold snap coming in. You know, when you're just, you know, you're plumb to the end on all you can give for these cattle, and then it's cold and you're struggling to keep them taken care of. You look at them, they're out there shivering, and you think, gosh almighty, what in the world have I done? They're saying that they keep naming them now whenever you got a cold snap. This one they're saying is a Siberian Express coming in, but late this week, over the weekend, towards the middle of the country, they're estimating some forecasted frigid temperatures. I mean, like, and we've seen, you know, freezing temperatures, below freezing, seen some pretty good snow in a lot of places, but this deal is like none degrees and below none degrees. Bitter cold. And I don't know that it's going to have a lot of moisture or snow with it, but you know, that people could be looking at that and woeing up just a little bit too. But if you guys just think of a jake break here, we're still gaining. We haven't stopped yet, and we sure haven't turned around going the other way, but we're easing up just a little bit. Let's talk about what's coming up later this week. I've been talking about it. Linz Heritage Angus. If you want more bang for your buck, check out the Linz Heritage Angus sale coming up this Thursday. They've got 140 bulls. They've got volume discounts, free delivery. They'll keep those bulls through the winter until April if you want them to do that for you. Plus they've got the buyback program, guys. And you're getting more bang for your buck just all the way around. And check out that sale. Don't miss it. It's coming up Thursday, 1 o'clock p.m. That's the 16th of January in Byers, Oklahoma, if you want to go to the ranch there. If not, just get on to DVAuction. You can see the videos now, and you can tune in there on Thursday, view and bid that sale on DVAuction.com. Let's talk about your board for Tuesday. February live cattle futures were unchanged at 197.40. April was down a nickel at 198.15. It wants to go down, but it can't get too much further away from cash money when it looks like we're going to get at least steady money and maybe another buck or two this week already. So your late months or your back months there, down 25 cents to down 85. Of course, they're farther out. Feeder cattle for January, they've got to catch the index levels. It's getting mid-January here, and so they've got to start getting close to the index levels. January feeder cattle up 2 1/4 at 274.10. March up 30 cents at 268.20. Your back months on feeder cattle up 10 to up 47 cents. March corn down 2 cents a bushel at 474.5. March beans down 5.5 cents a bushel at 1047.5. Hard red winter wheat for March down 1/4 cent a bushel at 560 3/4. We saw there's a lot of open interest, a lot of trade in your cattle futures, guys. We experienced here recently the second highest number of managed fund longs in history. So a lot of play in it, but I tell you what, those managed funds, you know why they're in there. They don't care which way it goes as long as it goes and they're on the right side of it. Talk about your fat cattle trade. Of course, not much so far this week on a direct basis in your 5 area. We did see a little bit in Iowa. 200 on Tuesday. We saw 600 late Monday. Your live prices have been 205 to 205.5. That 5.5 is encouraging, and then some dress prices at 320. Nothing out of Nebraska. We sold about 500 so far this week in Kansas at $2 a pound. Nothing out of Texas, but we did have that market maker at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. There, Greg Reichensale, and how he juggles that and does such a great job with it. It's amazing, but everybody talking about that sale anymore. It's every Tuesday. It's a market maker, guys, and it's higher, sharply higher. He had 2,000 in overnight, 3,000 in for the fat cattle auction there, brick and mortar sale. Conventional, just your straight up fat steers and heifers selling from $198 to $208.50. That was $1 to $5 higher. Greg Marks there keeps track of that market information and shares it with me. He does a great job, does it for free. So buy him a cup of coffee, buy him lunch if you see him at the sale somewhere. Charge it to me. Program cattle there, non-implanted or drug-free, selling from $203 to $212.50. Wow, $212.50. Big string of heifers, about half prime there, bring $212, and then they are non-implanted there. But that's $3 to $4 higher, guys. Buyers were wanting to buy cattle that had at least an end of really high quality on them, maybe up to prime there, and all your buyers were wanting to do that. And the cattle in the ring costing in the mid 330s in the beef. Now we did touch 330 on just like 150 head last week direct basis, but that was the estimation of what those cattle were costing in the ring there. And you had some small packers in there, you had some railers in there, and you had order buyers from the big packers in there, all competing against one another. It's amazing how competition brings about higher prices. Okay, this is to you people that just formula your cattle every week. See how the competition makes higher prices. Everybody's fall into that VAT where they don't get any competition anymore. Now, it's hard to bitch whenever cattle are at all-time record high prices, but you just remember when it starts falling, you won't have much of a chance to fight back. Talk about your box beef cutout values. They were kind of mixed. Choice cuts are down 37 cents at $332.98. Selects continue their rise, up $1.14 at $318.71. Of course, there's not much select product around anymore. Everything grades choice and prime now that we're all using those instruments, camera instruments to grade the cattle. But also because they've been on feed longer, maybe an end of them because the genetics are better. But I still think that camera plays a big role in the reason that all these cattle are grading so high and I've already seen the results of it and talked to the guys that know, that shared it with me, so it's going to be hard to run me off that, guys. Here's slaughter. 242,000 estimated cattle slaughter through the first 2 days of the week. 7,000 better than last week. 26,000 better than the same week a year ago. Pretty aggressive slaughter, guys. Talk about what else is going on. Performance livestock analytics. Feed, performance, and health data all in one spot with software from Performance Beef. Now, I was talking to a young lady that was up at the Cattle Feeders Convention up in Toronto, in London, Ontario there, and she was up there talking to producers. A lot of those independent feeders, farmer feeders up there in Ontario use Performance Beef. She was telling me that you get a subscription and then you just have access to that team all the time. You can call and ask them questions. You can add things. You can take things away. You can learn how to use it. And you always have those people right there at your beck and call. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets, your real-time index on DVAuction. Late in the day on Tuesday, after your sales had closed, sitting at 278.46. That was down 33 cents compared to the end of the day on Monday. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 278.31. Had a lot of good sales this week. We're still getting over the holiday and then the storm last week, so we got good runs everywhere. I was talking to John Fisher up there in Dickinson, North Dakota at Stockman's Livestock Exchange. They had a bred heifer and a bred cow sale special on Tuesday, and he said what really impressed him were the older cows, and not the old cows, but the solid mouth cows. You know, bringing really nice prices, up over $3,000 a head for those. Not a whole lot more on the young cows, maybe up to $3,500, $3,600 there. But the older cows, people wanting those foolproof old cows, or cows that got some experience to them, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. You know they're going to get bred and they're going to have a calf, and it's not going to be a big problem. You just may not have as many years with them as you would like. But let's talk about your big feeder sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri had a pretty good run. 2,900 head through the ring, another 1,060 head through their in-house video sale that they have regularly there with help from DVAuction. But good sale there compared to 2 weeks ago, as they got snowed out last Tuesday. Feeders are $4 to $8 higher. Your steer calves were $12 to $18 higher, and heifer calves $6 to $12 higher. Now that's a 2-week trend, guys, because they got snowed out last time. But really good sale there in West Plains, Missouri. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma? They had 5,000 head of feeders on Tuesday. The feeder steers, and I was there last week and wasn't there this week. I didn't see how the market could get any higher than it was last week, but apparently it did. They've got federal state market reporting in there now because their receipts are so much improved. Feeder steers $2 to $7 higher than last week. Steer calves $4 to $6 higher, and all classes of heifers steady to $5 higher. The only hiccup there was on the 8 and 9 weight, 8 to 900 pound feeder steers, and they were lower, and I thought that was curious, and I did look at the information I had, and yes, they were lower, 5, 6, maybe $7 lower on there. Don't have any idea why that is, other than the guy that was selling them, the auctioneer last week, you know, he just really did an outstanding job, and he was not there this week, but can't believe it made that much difference. But just a hole in the market there, they all have them. Beaver was your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. Check out your market here on your best tested weights, which are quite a few of them. 380 head of 5-weight steers there in Beaver, Oklahoma, average 563 with a weighted average price of $330.85. There were 383 head of the 6-weight steers. They averaged 652 at 295.55. 506 head of 7-weight steers averaged 755 with a weighted average price of 274.54. Here was the only spot that was a little bit lower, but still a hell of a price. 332 head of 8-weight steers, maybe because they averaged on the high end of the 8s, averaged 861, weighted average price 256.10. How about the heifers? 429 head of 4-weight heifers averaged 456 with a weighted average price of 333.46. 458 head of 5-weight heifers averaged 553 at 292.78. 671 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 635 at 274.64. And 538 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 759 at Beaver County Stockyards with a weighted average price of 252.18. So really good sale there overall once again. And did hear a little bit about those miniature Highlander bulls that they sold. They bring from 1,500 to 2,000 a head. And I asked Conkle, I said, those things weigh around 6, and he said, no, they weighed under 4, and they were mature. So, but kind of an interesting thing that they had there. It was just 5 head of them. But give you some individual quotes all around. How about Producers Livestock in Greeley, Colorado? When they have a special, they have really good ones, guys. They sell 71 Pee-wee steers, weighed 408 pounds, bring 461. Very impressive. How about Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri? They sell a string of feeder heifers, 76 head of them, weigh 717 at 275.50. Impressive there too. How about a calf quote from Miles City Livestock Commission in Miles City, Montana? 59 head of light steer calves, weighed 532 at 374. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday in your Macrocin No BS top quote of the day come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. 71 steers, weighed 774 at 307 1/4. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.